Right now, on the National Weather Desk, blizzard cleanup. What's next for California mountain communities buried in feet of snow?
It's been terrible.
After the fire, Texas ranchers look to the future following the state's largest wildfire in history.
If you had solar panels, it melted your solar panels.
Coastal mystery. Why are these barrels washing ashore along the California coast?
I was like, that's just really weird.
Springing forward. How a return to daylight saving time can impact your sleep rhythms.
But what is that actually doing to our health to change the clock twice a year?
And we continue our countdown to next month's total solar eclipse.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Amira David. California's mountain towns and ski resorts are cleaning up after a major storm buried them under feet of snow. The higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada saw the worst of the storm, with some areas seeing over 10 feet of snow and wind gusts nearing 170 miles per hour. While the worst of the storm hit over the weekend, some areas were still seeing snowfall as of Monday afternoon. Madison Keevy is there as residents begin digging out.
8 feet of snow at least piled high on both sides of this Soda Springs road. Add to it what snowblowers took off the road to make this stretch up to Sugar Bowl passable.
We're prepared for this now.
This is normal for locals. Feet of snow dropped by a winter storm and the slow process to dig out.
It's been terrible.
With snow still falling Monday afternoon, machines were doing the heavy lifting to clear a path.
Opening my back door right now.
The work is cut out for homeowners like Ron Huser, who shared this video of snow piled high at his front door.
We lost it here and there, or the lights have been flickering, but for the most part, we've had power the whole storm.
Others, like a mom of two in Soda Springs, who shared this video with us, won't be home until Wednesday. She left home after power went out.
Snow also fell in the Pacific Northwest yesterday. It wasn't anything like what's happened in California, but it did catch some folks there by surprise. Jackie Kent with more.
Get up, face the day, and have fun.
80-year-old Mo Wagner is making the most of his snow day at 1,000 feet in elevation. He's 10 years retired from building log cabins, including his own on Lake Kavanaugh. It's where he tells us he loves to stay active by shoveling his snow-covered backyard, about 5 inches deep, just feet from the lake.
Do you just hunker down when snow is here like this?
Yes, have coffee and watch TV.
Elsewhere in Skagit County, the lights are back on at Big Lake Grocery Store following 2 outages and a loss of customers the owner believes due to the slick roads.
We're not expecting this at this time of the year, and it's hard for us, like for customers especially, to come down. Like people live on hills and that kind of stuff. It's slippery everywhere.
David Bartholomew's with Skagit County Roads was still clearing the slush well into the afternoon.
It was pretty hectic. We do our best to make sure we get the roads clear so everybody can get to where they need to go.
A March snow can catch people off guard, so we want people to be in the good habit of checking conditions.
The roads will be fine. They're wet, but just be careful and drive safe.
And more snow is forecast today for the Pacific Northwest. While blizzard-like conditions are not expected, wind gusts could reach 45 miles per hour and blow around much of that already fallen snow. By tomorrow afternoon, most of the precipitation should move out of the area. Las Vegas had its share of wicked weather this weekend with damaging winds. Outside the city in the Spring Mountains, winds were whipping as well. Residents also dealing with blowing snow. Denise Roche has more on the cleanup efforts.
This is what mountain residents were dealing with on Saturday. Wind gusts blowing snow sideways. April Johansson has lived in Old Town for 18 years, shoveling out.
How many trips have you made?
Oh, I don't even bother counting.
Just part of mountain living.
Little power outages just momentarily, briefly, so that wasn't bad.
And by Monday morning, blue skies back in the forecast, even while some road signs remain buried. Over at the retreat at Charleston Peak,
this just got knocked over.
General Manager Kimberly Armstrong says the hotel hosted a private event on Saturday. 150 guests greeted by more than they bargained for.
Well, because we did hear like 88-mile-an-hour gusts. How bad do you think it was down here?
I absolutely think it had to be close to that, maybe 60, 65, definitely. The snow was coming down in little hail balls too, so that also added another element of excitement when you ventured outside.
As for Johansson,
I prefer to be around nature, while it's left.
She says a few good March storms are to be expected. Spring in the mountains arriving soon enough.
And now to the massive Smokehouse Creek wildfire in the Texas Panhandle, the largest in state history. As of right now, it is just 15% contained. Thousands of cattle have died while hundreds of buildings have burned. As Drew Powell reports, some ranchers are starting to look to the future.
Been a fire that's consumed us as far as the east is from the west and the north is from the south.
The Smokehouse Creek fire burned more than 80% of the land in the county and burned a number of wells and pumps that are used to provide water for livestock.
The way the fire came through there, if you had solar panels, it melted your solar panels if you had solar wells. And if you had the PVC plumbing on top of the ground, it destroyed all that.
And we think when we finally get it tallied up, it'll be somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 head of cattle lost here in just Hemphill County.
As donations pour in from across Texas and other states, ranchers like Warren Rivers say producers have to take drastic steps to keep their remaining livestock alive.
The plan B is to go, if you have water tanks to haul water, then a lot of people did haul water for a while in order to get their electricity back on.
We still need hay. We need fencing supplies. We've got cattle that are dead that need to be disposed of. We've got cattle that are alive that need to be cared for. And these ranchers are just so busy trying to take care of what's left and then all the work that they have to do.
We continue our countdown to the solar eclipse across America. We are now just 34 days away. In San Antonio, officials are expecting major crowds for the event. Scientists there plan to study much more than what's in space. Meteorologist Joe DiCarlo has that story.
Next time that San Antonio will be in the path of a total eclipse is going to be something like 2400.
Dr. Lindsay Fuller is the eclipse project manager at UTSA and works in the physics and astronomy department. She says eclipses are not rare, but there is something special about this one in our area.
The reason that this one is so unique is that we had an annular eclipse in October and we have a total eclipse in April. That's what's so unique about this particular event in this particular space.
Dr. Fuller notes that being in totality is something that many people never get to experience. So what's different about totality in this eclipse than the one we saw in October?
For the total eclipse, the moon will appear slightly larger in the sky than it did in October. And so for that reason, it's going to completely block out all of the light from the sun.
While the general public will be marveling at the eclipse, some local scientists are hoping to learn things from it.
A project called Citizen Kate. And that's a project where citizen scientists are set up along the path of totality, and they'll be able to take data about the sun's corona.
Another project is called Eclipse Soundscapes.
We're putting these recording devices around at different parks and locations within Texas, and we're going to be recording the sounds of insects and animals during the eclipse, because it's known that insects and animals will sometimes change their behaviors during eclipses.
Very interesting. And stay with the National Weather Desk as we count down the days until that April 8th eclipse. We'll also have much more on the eclipse posted on our YouTube channel. Just search the National Weather Desk. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe. And check this out. An underwater exploration off the coast of Chile has led to the discovery of more than 100 new sea creatures. This is video from the Schmidt Ocean Institute expedition. Scientists identified deep sea corals, glass sponges, sea urchins, and squat lobsters. The discoveries were all in an underwater mountain chain that stretches from Chile to Easter Island. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, this Sunday is daylight saving time change. We're going to find out how switching the clocks can actually affect your sleep patterns. And we are going to look at how this year's warm winter temperatures could impact spring crops in Wisconsin.
I'm meteorologist Troy Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have an active-looking weather pattern in the Northeast with multiple rounds of rain. The first one is arriving this morning through parts of New Jersey, New York, and southern New England. This will slowly lift north during the course of the afternoon. That's about 1:30 in the afternoon. My hope is we'll get into a sliver of sun for a large portion of New England for Wednesday, sending temps into the 50s before our next round of rain moves in for Wednesday night through Thursday.
Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Rain still lingering around for your Tuesday morning, but Tuesday afternoon should mean some clearing, at least drying out. Any sunshine would warm us up quite a bit, and we're still going to be tracking another shot at rainfall as we move into Wednesday with one system right behind the last. Temperatures as we head through Tuesday afternoon, upper 50s to around 60 degrees, and we'll still be reaching near 60 on Wednesday with the worst case scenario, upper 50s.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. We have another above average day for our area. We have the 70s in Arkansas. We have the 60s in Birmingham, Atlanta, Asheville, Myrtle Beach as well. And then we even get into the 80s along the Florida Peninsula, Tampa, and Miami. Warm, warm, warm. We have a stationary front that's ushering in lots of moisture into the area. So a good bit of us are going to see isolated showers throughout the day into tomorrow afternoon.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
On this Super Tuesday, we want to check the weather where voters are heading to the polls. We start in Austin, Texas, looking mostly sunny and very warm in the state capital. High temperatures will approach 90 degrees, just short of the record high for today. 3 New England states are voting today, including Massachusetts. Morning fog in New Bedford will turn into steady rain today. Highs there will be in the upper 40s. Voters will also have to contend with rain throughout the day in Chattanooga, Tennessee. High temperatures expected to be in the low to mid 60s. And finally to Iowa. This is the courthouse in Fairfield. Voters there will see mostly sunny skies and a high of 53 degrees. Average temperatures are expected this week in northeast Wisconsin. Will that be high enough for cherry or apple trees to break out of dormancy? Meteorologist Christian Palacio has that story.
We haven't broken any dormancy yet here, but it's going to happen.
Terry Sorensen is the owner of Soren's Valhalla Orchard. Sorensen has spoken with fellow apple farmers in southern Michigan and has stated some trees are breaking dormancy already. There's a reason why many farmers choose to grow their fruit here in Door County. The peninsula is surrounded by the Bay of Green Bay and Lake Michigan. The waters help moderate the air temperature, which delays blooming even on some warmer days for the rest of the region. But with near record to record highs in the last few days, as well as historically low ice cover on the Great Lakes, these are huge causes for concern for an early blooming season. Sorensen also mentioned the last time they were down this road was back in 2012.
We had some critically warm days early in March where it was 70 in Door County, and we bloomed way too soon, and we came out with not even a 10% crop, so that's kind of where we're at.
Sorensen also mentions how he and many others imagine what the headlines will be for crops across the Great Lakes.
All we can do is pray and hope that we slow it down. We can't stop it once it starts, so.
There is a deep mystery unfolding along California's central coast. Wooden barrels and maybe even raw cotton bales are washing ashore over a 60-mile stretch. Some people even took them home, hoping to find maybe a pirate's treasure of some sort. Liz Gonzalez investigates.
It's not something you see every day. 2 barrels rolling off the coast of Grover Beach.
I thought they were logs. I was like, that's just really weird for a bunch of logs to be bobbing around in the water.
Make that 3 barrels and counting.
I see wildlife out there all the time. I see dolphins and seals.
And Alan says in a span of 30 minutes, another 3 barrels rolled in, which begs the questions, what's inside? We'll get to that in a minute. And
did a ship go down somewhere?
These barrels are just half of what's washed up over an area spanning nearly 60 miles, from Grover Beach to Pismo, Morro Bay, Cayucas, Cambria, and all the way to San Simeon. And bales appearing to be cotton have washed up too. Some of the items with clues. This barrel had a label, MGPI of Indiana, which one man immediately recognized as Midwest Grain Processing of Indiana, which makes whiskey. Alan was curious enough. She brought the barrel home.
So one of the reasons I was really adamant about opening it was just to make sure there wasn't a dead body inside. You know, I might watch a little too much of that investigation Discovery and Dateline TV.
But
it was empty, but it does have a very, very, very strong whiskey smell to it.
Much like this one found by Anthony Millica.
Well, the answer is there's absolutely nothing inside there, for those that want to know.
Fox 26 reached out to California state parks to see if it knew anything about a ship losing cargo or perhaps even more similar items washing up, but we haven't heard back.
Hard to believe, but it is that time of year again. On Sunday morning, we are springing forward into daylight saving time. We'll lose that hour of sleep with the promise of more evening sunshine. Emily Gracie spoke to a sleep expert to find out how changing the clocks twice a year really impacts our circadian rhythm.
In humans, our circadian system or our circadian clock is entrained primarily by light exposure specifically. And so we actually have cells in our eyes that directly connect. It's a direct neuronal connection from our eyes to our clock in our brain. And those cells are activated or controlled specifically by light exposure.
So let's talk about daylight saving and how we are changing our clocks twice a year at this point. What does that do? An hour doesn't seem like much. Like everybody says they feel it. Some people less so. But what is that actually doing to our health to change the clock twice a year?
It's actually doing quite a lot to our circadian clock. And, you know, there's definitely some pretty strong evidence at the anecdotal level. People notice it. And especially like when you spring forward in the spring, so you lose that hour of sleep, nobody likes that. And everybody complains about it. It's like anecdotally, you can feel that you're missing that hour of sleep. And then when we look at sort of the population level, we know that during that spring forward time frame, during that week when that happens, after that time change on the highways, there's more accidents and there's more severe accidents that result in people dying. There's a higher incidence of heart attack. And then on the flip side of it, we don't see that happen in the fall when we fall back and you get an extra hour of sleep. So there isn't an increase in accidents. There isn't these elevated risk of heart attacks during that week. And so that's really nice data that directionally shows that losing that hour of sleep is important.
Okay, so there is like a group of people, a lot of people, who would love to just shift to daylight saving time all year long. What is your opinion on that?
So I'm definitely of the opposite opinion, where probably the optimal would be, if we're going to adopt one time, it's going to be standard time, which is right now what we are on during winter time.
And if you want to go more in depth on circadian rhythms, including the research that has been done to prepare humans to live in space and on Mars, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts. Peak tornado season is now here, as 70% of all tornadoes happen between March and June. With that in mind, we wanted to remind you what you should do if your area experiences a tornado watch or warning. Here's a recent TikTok video from Charleston meteorologist Christian Clark.
So let's say you're watching TV, you're listening to the radio, and all of a sudden there's a tornado warning issued for your area. What do? So the first thing that you're going to do, and I'm going to emphasize this, is take shelter immediately. The amount of videos that I have seen of people standing out in their driveways taking videos of tornadoes barreling towards their neighborhood, it's absolutely mind-blowing. So make sure that you take shelter immediately. That means getting into a sturdy shelter. Hopefully it's your house that you're closest to, a neighbor's house, something of the sort, right? And make sure you're on that lowest level and away from windows. That tornado will spin up all this debris and it can come flying right through your windows, right through your house, right? So that's why we always stress to make sure that you are staying away from those windows, preferably you go into your bathroom or an interior closet. Those would be the best places to get to in case there is a tornado.
Well, a very good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather across the Midwest here. We got some snow up in the Dakotas and then rain across the Ohio Valley for the day today, and definitely a lot colder up there. Bismarck only a high of 30 for the day today. Now that rain continues moving its way to the east as we go through the morning tomorrow, and the middle part of the Midwest looking pretty decent. A little cool for tomorrow. More rain starts moving its way back into portions of Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri by Thursday.
Good Tuesday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast across the region, starting off with some cool readings, western half of Texas, Oklahoma. Meantime, on the lookout for a couple strong to perhaps severe thunderstorms, Little Rock to New Orleans, Shreveport for wind and hail. We head to Wednesday's forecast and a little bit of a calmer day. Patchy clouds through the morning into the afternoon. Slight rain chance, central North Texas in the afternoon. Highs 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Temperatures about 10 to 20 degrees below the average. This cold air mass is gradually sinking down towards California. And as this low pressure is tracking down the coast, it's dragging in a somewhat stationary front, bringing in increased rainfall to Northern California and the mountains of North California, the Siskiyous into the South Oregon Cascades, stretching across Idaho. 1 to 2 feet of mountain snow ahead, exacerbating places that were already hit hard earlier this week. That's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
In Wisconsin, sunrise along Lake Winnebago's North Shore with melting ice shards revealing the land beneath. Cleanup in Las Vegas after damaging weekend winds. A 68-mile-per-hour gust at the airport was the strongest in March since 1985. And in Rhode Island, water droplets mingle with the sun to form this rainbow in the sea spray.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday.
While the Sierra Nevadas got multiple feet of snow, it's been a little different this winter in Washington's Cascade Mountains. Some snow fell yesterday, but as Theron Zahn reports, the snowpack could use some more.
The latest readings have the snowpack in much of the Cascades of Washington and Oregon at 60 to 70% of typical. Hopefully in the next few weeks we can get some more late season systems in here and revive that snowpack, but it could have dire consequences, not just for farmers downstream that need the water in the summer, but also for the fire season.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Amira David. Make it a great Tuesday, and we will see you right back here tomorrow.